will hear a new student, Tom, talking to a student representative called Rachel about university clubs. You now have 30 seconds to read questions 1 to 4.
Hi, welcome to Freshers Week. I'm Rachel. Can I help you?
Oh, hi. Yes, I was hoping to find out about some clubs I could join.
Well, all the club stands are here in this hall. What were you interested in?
Not sure. I wanted to do something where I could meet people.
Well, take this leaflet with details of all the clubs and see what you think.
Oh.
It'll probably depend on what day you're free. Like on Mondays, there's the film club. Then on Tuesdays, you've got the climbing club. That's really good. I'm in that. Then on Wednesdays, you've got chess, if you want something a bit more intellectual. But you should look through carefully because all the clubs run extra activities as well as their normal meetings.
Oh, yes, I see. So, it looks like the film club has discussions after the films. I'd quite like to go to those. Then, climbing. Goodness. It says here that the university has its own climbing wall. That's impressive. And they go on weekend trips. Cool. And it says the chess club normally just does games with whoever turns up. But it also runs competitions sometimes. But I bet you've got to be pretty good to do that.
Yes, I think so.
And how many people are in the clubs? Are they all really full?
Well, obviously they're all different. So, for example, the film club has just increased its membership from 85 to 125. But I think they're hoping to extend it to 150. The climbing club's quite small, 40 people. And the chess club is fairly healthy at 55.
Right. OK. So who do I see if I want to join these clubs?
Well, if you go round the stands and speak to the people there, for the film club, that's the events organiser. For climbing, you'll need the club secretary. And the chess club is organised by one of the maths tutors. OK?
Yep. I think I'll start with the climbing club. It sounds good.
Oh, well, as I said, I'm in that, so I might be able to help you a bit.
You now have 30 seconds to read questions 5 to 10.
OK. It says in the leaflet that they get together twice a month. Is that right?
Yes. Oh, you must join. It's really good fun. We go away quite a bit to North Wales. And every year we have a special excursion, usually to France, which is where we're going this year in the spring. The weather's too unpredictable in the autumn.
Wow, that sounds good. But it must cost a lot.
Yeah, but we try and save up for it through subscriptions. So rather than having a huge sum to pay in the month we go, we collect those weekly, so it spreads it out.
Good idea. I think I'll definitely join.
There are quite good benefits you get from joining. I mean, you need that, don't you? And the university clubs normally try and do deals with local businesses, so it's really worth joining. Like in the climbing club, they've got a special arrangement with one of the shops in town. So if you show your card, you can get money off equipment. Don't think the discount extends to clothes, though.
That's really worth it then. I'll go over and talk to them now.
OK. Hope you do join. Oh, and another thing I meant to say. If you do become a member, you automatically receive a magazine once a year. It's quite useful and interesting because it goes out to all the national climbing clubs. And the other thing is, if you come to every session, then you can get a complimentary ticket to the big exhibition that's held in Cardiff every year. So, hope to see you.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot for your help.
You will hear a student housing officer giving a talk to a group of university students concerning dormitory renovations. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
After months of discussion and planning, we are very pleased to announce that the renovations will be made to the west wing of the university dormitories. Now, with this good news comes some bad, as there will be some disruptions to your living environment. But we think once you hear our plans, you're going to be very happy with what we will be doing. Firstly, if you'll just take a moment to look at the plans we gave you as you came in. Firstly, on the eastern side of the wing, you'll notice that there will be a change in the existing front entrance. It will be removed to another location on the opposite side of the wing. I'm sure that a lot of you will be glad for that, as our present configuration didn't allow for enough lighting. With the renovations will also come the removal of the existing staircase, but not the column beside it. Now, as we move west, we come to the location of the new security entrance. As with the old one, there will still be a need for some new lighting, so we're planning to install a number of overhead lights, which will make entering and exiting safer for you all. It'll be at this new security entrance that the new wall will be built to a 2-story height. This gives you an idea of the size of the construction. Overall, the width will be around 6 meters, with the overall length being around 10, which I'm sure many of you are going to really enjoy. More room for all of you living in the West Wing. Are there any questions?
Before you listen to the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 16 to 20.
Now, as I mentioned, there will be some issues we will have to overcome regarding the renovations. The first will be relocating some of you to new dormitories. 30 students will be moving for a total of 6 weeks. Now, of those who will be moving, you will be distributed to 3 other temporary locations, the north, south, and east dorm wings. 10 students will be relocated to each wing. This means that some of you are going to need to get packing. Don't worry about your new location. We're doing all we can to make your new temporary dorms as comfortable as possible. In fact, as I speak, we're making steps to ensure that you have study desks, lamps, and computer facilities, and all of the other facilities you require to successfully continue on with your studies. We're even repainting several of the rooms in the preparation for your arrival. The changes to your dorms will be starting within a week. If you have any problems, don't hesitate to contact my office. Now, I'm sure some of you have questions. I'm happy to answer them now.
That is the end of section 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers.
Now turn to Section 3. Section 3. In this section, you will hear a conversation between Mrs. Lamb, a member of the staff in a large hospital, and Andrew, who is a student in the nursing school. Mrs. Lamb is explaining the rules about visiting hours in the hospital. Look at questions 20 to 25. Listen to the first part of the conversation and answer questions 20 to 22. Complete the table showing when visitors may go to the different parts of the hospital.
Hello, Andrew. I believe you want to know about visiting hours.
Yes, I do, Mrs. Lamb. I have to fill this form out, and I'd like to have some idea why the different parts of the hospital have different times for visiting.
I see. Well, let's start with an obvious one. Intensive care. People in intensive care are very sick indeed, and for that reason, we say that visitors can come between 6 a.m. and midnight.
I can understand that.
At the other end of the scale, our maternity patients are usually quite well, but we restrict their visiting hours from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We find they get very tired if we permit visitors all the time.
I see. What about the surgical wards?
The doctors prefer to do their rounds early in surgical, so visiting hours are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Surgical patients are often on very heavy painkillers, and they aren't really very good company for their visitors.
But surely the visitors come to cheer up the patient, not the other way round.
Of course. And often the visitors are able to help the patient a lot. That's why we allow visitors all day, the full 24 hours in the emergency ward. They help comfort the patient while they're waiting to be diagnosed.
In the second part of the discussion, Andrew will ask Mrs. Lamb about the people who are allowed to visit patients. Look at questions 23 to 25 first. Complete the table showing who is allowed to visit and the number of visitors permitted. Use the letter A to show that adults may visit, E to show that everyone may visit, and I to show that only immediate family may visit.
Of course, it's not just everyone who can visit a sick patient. People in intensive care can only be visited by their immediate family. What's more, we only allow 2 people in at any time. We let children of the immediate family in to visit people in intensive care, but we don't like to do it. It's very hard on the children, and it may distress the patient. However, if the patient asks for the child, and the family agrees, that's okay.
What about children in maternity?
Of course we let them in. They're very pleased to see their mothers. The rule in maternity is everyone may visit, up to 6 people at a time. The maternity ward is quite sociable after all.
The surgical ward must be different.
It is indeed. We don't allow children in the surgical ward because of the danger of infection. And as you know, we restrict the hours. There are a lot of procedures which must be carried out on surgical patients, and we only let 2 visitors come in at a time.
And in emergency, people are allowed to visit all the time?
Oh yes, we rely on patients' relatives to be there for them, and we permit everyone to visit the emergency department at all hours. However, we restrict it to 3 visitors for each patient. Otherwise, the room just gets totally crowded.
Now listen to Mrs. Lamb explaining where Andrew will spend the first week of his training. Circle 2 letters. An example has been done for you. Look at questions 26 and 27. Circle 2 letters in each answer.
Now I have your schedule for the next week's observation sessions. Are you ready?
Yes. Where do I start?
On Monday, you'll be in male surgical in the morning and in female surgical in the afternoon. You'll be following Dr. Shea on her rounds.
Thank you. And on Tuesday?
On Tuesday, you'll be with Dr. Thomas in the morning and Dr. Robertson in the afternoon. No, that can't be right. You're with Dr. Thomas in the afternoon and Dr. Robertson in the morning.
Do I ever get to see Dr. Kim?
Yes, you'll be with Dr. Kim on Thursday and Friday. She'll take you through the children's ward and through our new teenage ward for 12 to 15-year-olds.
Great. I've read a lot about that new ward. Will I see the schoolroom?
Maybe another time.
Now look at questions 28 to 30. Now answer questions 28 to 30. Write no more than 3 words or numbers for each answer.
And what will I do on Wednesday?
On Wednesday, you'll join the other students for lectures. You'll be in the Redmore lecture room between 8 and 10 a.m. and later between 2 and 3 p.m.
Thank you. Do you know how big my class is?
The intake this term is 200 first-year students. I'm pleased to say about 1/3 are men, which is good. Nursing used to be an almost entirely female occupation.
I know. My father trained as a nurse, and he was considered very unusual.
Is he still working as a nurse?
Yes, he's working in a hospital in the country. I guess I just wanted to follow his example.
That is the end of section 3. You will now have some time to check your answers.
Now turn to section 4. Track 23, section 4. You will hear a lecture on desert plants. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
In today's lecture, I'm going to continue our work on plants and talk about plants that live in the desert. Now, just a bit of background information first. As you know, about 1/3 of the world is covered in desert. and the sort of area they're found in is important. Deserts are usually created because the area of land where they lie is located in something that's called a rain shadow. Now, this is a region that's beneath a mountain range, and what happens is that the wind blows over the mountains towards the area, but as it does so, the air loses its moisture and becomes very dry. Because of this downwind location, rainfall often totals just a few inches a year, or in some regions, there's absolutely none. And you can imagine the effect of this. It means that whatever rain does fall evaporates quickly from the ground, and that makes the soil salty and also leaves behind a whole range of other minerals as well. Now, despite this, deserts are home to many living things. In fact, they're second only to tropical rainforests in the variety of plant and animal species that live there. So, how do plants grow in a place that's so dry? Well, they're specially adapted to do this. In fact, many of the fascinating features of desert plants are adaptations. These are traits that help the plant survive in its harsh environment. And desert plants have two main adaptations. The first is that they have an ability to collect water and to store it. Some have large root systems and amazing internal water storage systems. The second adaptation is that they have features that can actually reduce water loss, and these are often very special leaf designs or additions to the plant structure. So let's have a look at some examples. Desert plants often look very different from any other plants. Okay, this first one is the Saguaro Cactus, which grows in North America. It looks a bit like an open hand with long fingers. This plant has a large network of roots that extend far, far away from its trunk, and these roots collect water after rain. Then the water's taken here to the green stem. This is where all its water is kept, and it keeps the whole plant alive until the next rain comes. It's a pretty, woody plant. In fact, its skeleton is actually used in building materials, so it's quite strong. This next plant is called the Barrel Cactus, named because it does look rather like a barrel. It can grow up to 1 meter in height, which is pretty big, and it has long yellow spines. Now, this plant has an interesting adaptation because its shape allows it to expand when it rains, hence the barrel, and store water in its spongy tissue. But then it shrinks in size during dry times as it uses the stored water, so that's a clever design. This third cactus, often just one plant reaching upwards, has these white hairs all over its surface. It's called the old man cactus because of the white hairs, and these help the plant reflect the hot desert sun. So this adaptation is a water conservation aid, if you like. Another adaptation, not directly connected with water, but with survival, is found on something like the prickly pear cactus. There are hundreds of these in the Mexican desert. I'm sure you've seen them on films and adverts. Yes, so because desert plants store water in their spongy tissue, animals will eat them. So the plant has sharp thorns, specially designed to prevent the predator from being able to, well, get near it at all. Our next plant is called the desert spoon. This plant has long leaves that fan out, and they're very succulent because they can also store water inside. However, they're also usually very tough, and this helps keep the water inside and also makes them less tasty. Finally, we come to the aloe plant. This is one that many people keep in their homes. It's an attractive plant which has leaves that look and feel rather waxy. This surface behaves in a similar way to a plastic wrapper and helps the plant to hold the water in. It's a wonder plant, this one. Its juice has been used as a medicine for centuries, and even today you can find it in products on the pharmacist's shelves or in creams and lotions. OK, well, we're going to take a closer look.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.